All right, everybody. So we're back with another race breakdown, and tonight we're going to be talking to Shea Weilbaker, who just graduated from Saratoga last year, and a lot of you guys know Shea has a pretty impressive high school running resume. He's a 5-time New York State champ. He is number 2 all-time at Saratoga in the 3,200. I'm not sure where Shea ranks in the mile, but I think he's in our top 5 all-time in the mile at Saratoga. And just been a great teammate and a great guy to coach over the years. So I'm really excited to break this race down with you, Shea. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. How is life going, training on your own and quarantine and stuff like that?
It's good. I think it's been an adjustment, but it's fun to be back in Saratoga, so I'm enjoying it.
Nice. And I should have mentioned that Shea is, he's finishing up remotely his freshman year at Georgetown, but he ran cross country for Georgetown. He got to compete at the NCAA championships, which is a big accomplishment for a freshman, especially at a Division I program like Georgetown. So I'm sure he's excited to get back training with his teammates whenever that can be. Hopefully get back to NCAAs again next fall. That'd be great. So the race we're going to be breaking down here, and I will share the screen so you can see as well, is the 2-mile championship from Indoor Nationals last year. And this is a race that they held at the Armory in New York City with a lot of good guys. And this was held a week after you won the state championship in the 3,200. I think that would have been your 4th state championship. So you want to talk a little bit about maybe your goals or what you were hoping to accomplish in this race before we get it going?
Sure. I think I remember I had a pretty good indoor season. I was running some pretty fast times. And I think the goal for this was just to break 9 and then to get like a top 5 finish. So I think that's what I kind of had the goal in mind, just to run a fast time. But yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that was always tricky with particularly working with you in indoor track was you try to serve like there's so many good opportunities in indoor in the Northeast. And if you're an elite guy like yourself, you know, you want to run at Milrose and you want to run at the Boston New Balance games, and then you want to win your state meet, and then you want to go to nationals, and there's a lot of really good meets to jump into and good opportunities to try to balance that out. So you had run at Milrose and the Boston meet both your junior and senior year. Correct? You ran both of them both years?
Yeah.
And you had run pretty well recently coming in the mile and then the 2-mile, kind of your main event for high school. This is what you've been gearing up towards through most of the season. So this is kind of a culmination of your track training through the indoor season against some national caliber competition. So why don't we get started with the video, and you can kind of narrate along, and we can talk it out as we go through it.
Okay, cool.
And a lot of these guys are guys you've raced in different places, like Ryan Gersey, you've raced a number of times. Ryan Oosting, you had a couple different races with him. He's one of the best runners in the country. Oh, and there you guys go. All right. So what's your focus right now when it's like a big group of guys like this early on?
I mean, I just got out towards the front. It's kind of hard on like an indoor track to get position if you're back there. Like you could see the guy in the greens way. That's going to be kind of tough to get out of, but just getting up in front is kind of crucial. So,
and you guys can see Shea's wearing like the old school Saratoga uniform here. So he's got the white top with the blue outline of a streak and the navy blue shorts, kind of running in probably about 5th or 6th place right now. And the tall guy in front of him is Ryan Oosting, who's probably one of the top 1 or 2 guys seed-wise coming into the race. So that's probably someone you're going to be paying attention to, right?
Yeah, I think all those guys in front of me, I knew had run fast times. So
when you're running a 2-mile like this, are you paying a lot of attention to the splits? Are you like thinking to yourself, like, I got to be at this mark every 200, or are you kind of just focusing on, what's going on in front of you and just responding to the race regardless of the times?
Yeah, I think just going in, since my goal was to run under 9 minutes, I was definitely just kind of looking at the clock. So I wouldn't really pay too much. I would definitely keep the splits in mind, but they wouldn't kind of determine my plan.
Right. You wouldn't just, you wouldn't do something kind of rash or
No,
like a quick reaction if you came through 2 seconds slower than what you might want to be. But
no.
ideally, you're looking to come through here in the mile. Well, we're coming up to 800, so ideally, you're hoping to come through the 800 about 2:15.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, this is perfect. It's already strung out, and I've kind of tucked in like I don't know, like around seventh place, maybe
Yeah.
sixth or seventh place, and that's I mean perfect. It's going pretty fast, so it's not tactical.
Yeah, it's
And
nice that so we got a split screen here. They're interviewing Caitlin Toohey because she just won. Is that right?
yeah,
Yeah. So we might see a little split screen with her, but keep your eyes on the screen to the left, and you can see Shea is kind of still hanging out in about sixth place there, and he's moving by somebody into fifth and settling in right there behind Ryan Houston. Shea, when you're running a 2 mile like this and you're feeling pretty good, when does it start to feel like a really kind of tough race?
um, I remember specifically in this race when it happened. I'll show you when it comes up, but
Yeah,
I remember just feeling like really good after like 1 mile.
yeah,
And then like I think a lap later I just kind of hit a wall. I remember thinking, I think I told you like, oh, I'm gonna win this race at like the mile. And then like at the 2K split or whatever, it hit me so hard. But I'll get when that comes up, I'll get to that. But
yeah.
right
That'll
now
be a
it's
good thing for guys to keep in mind to just watch you as it progresses, because even though you start to feel it, you continue to run really well. And I remember watching this because I was watching it online. I wasn't down there with you, and I remember just looking at your body language, looking at your form, and how you were being aggressive and passing people. You just looked really good, and I could sense that you were feeling pretty good about this race as it was developing.
yeah.
Now, in a field like this, you're not really expecting any of these guys in front of you to go anywhere. Like, in another race, like maybe even at states where you're the kind of the best guy on the track, in that situation, you're probably thinking a couple of these guys are going to drop off, but that's probably not something that's you're expecting in this race.
No, I was just kind of along for the ride, I guess. This is like a perfect opportunity. As you can see, it's just kind of strung out. And if you just get behind somebody, it's just like, that's all you got to do. That's all you got to worry about. Just like not really any work at all.
Right.
Just
So you
hanging
guys are
on.
coming up to the mile split here,
hmm
and you're out on kind of Ryan Oosting's shoulder there, and you're hitting it in about 4:32. So that's pretty good. I mean, I always used to say to you, like a 4:32 mile is almost like a walk in the park,
I don't know.
but it changes quickly, as you alluded to. So you get the sense that you did feel good because you're coming right up to the shoulder of the leaders here, and you moved into kind of like third place on the outside.
Yeah. This is where I kind of thought I might take the lead, but I just kind of wanted to get further up, which was a good decision. But yeah, I think right here is where I started to feel like, oh, this is it. I'm gonna I'm gonna win this.
Yeah, like you're feeling good, and you're in a nice position for sure.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. And you're right. Like a lot of times in high school races, you don't see them string out like this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times a lot of jockeying around and people, not really settling in and throwing in surges. But it seemed like everybody in this race kind of had the same sort of idea about how to go about it,
hmm
coming into it, which is unique. Um, and we'll start to see maybe a little bit more movement and a little bit more separation happening, I think, in the next 2 or 3 laps.
hmm Yeah. Now I'm kind of sticking in there, but I'm definitely starting to get tired at this point. This is kind of like the no man's land of like time in the 2 mile. When you see
Right.
like 6 minutes you just have no idea where you are.
Yeah, so that's a good point because certainly reaching the mile is a milestone, right? It's halfway through the race, but you're not to 800 meters to go. It's too early to do anything too aggressive, especially against a field like this where a lot of the guys have similar tools to what you have. But it's also not a time to back off. There's not enough race left. I mean, you're going to be done in 2.5 minutes. There's not enough race left to let anything slide either.
Mm-hmm.
So now things are picking up in intensity. You've got 4 laps. Yeah, 4 laps to go. So what are you thinking here?
I think at this point I was kind of dropping off. So I looked at, I think it was like 6:50 on the clock. So I'm like, all right, if I could get a 2:09 last 800, I'll be under 9. I think that's what I was thinking at that point. But I was trying not to let that gap open up a lot.
Right, because once that gap forms and you become less focused on the guys in front of you, I mean, it's a natural tendency to kind of to lay off it a little bit and to focus on the guys behind, and that's where the time can slip away from you a little bit. So you got 3 laps to go. You've got 600 meters, and you're in 1, 2, 3. You're in 7th, I think. You're in 6th. So you're in 6th. That's the last spot to be All-American as well. So you're kind of in a crucial spot there.
Oh, yeah.
Because certainly a goal would be to be All-American. So you're not going to want to let anybody else come in either.
Yeah. Yeah, this is when they really picked up the pace.
Yep.
You could see here it's really kind of strung out at this point.
Yeah. So you're going to come through just about 8 flat here. And which means you're looking to close in 60 seconds, which was always kind of a number in your head. You always had this number like trying to close in 60. And that to you was a sign that your finishing speed was, going to be competitive with national class guys. Yeah. Most national class guys, at least. And we can see here that you've moved back into 5th, and you're moving pretty good coming into the last lap here. So you bounced back with 2 laps to go for sure.
Yeah, I remember I kind of made up a little ground, which I was kind of surprised. And then I guess my goal is just to hawk as many guys down as I could.
Yeah.
And I think I got that guy in front of me at the end. And then
I do. I think you finish up 4th here. So you're coming up off the shoulder of this guy. And you're definitely going by him. So 8:56 for the winner. And you're going to come through, I think, maybe 9 flat or 9:01.
9:01, yeah.
9:01, which for full 2 miles was a PR for you. You had run, 8:58 or 8:59 for Laux?
8:59 junior year. And then
for
I ran 8:32 during this. So
PR. Right. So this was a PR for you. 4th place overall at Nationals, so you're All-American. Where does this rank where does this race sort of stack up for you? And we can get I'm going to move our picture so we can get your time up on the screen here in a second. Where does this race stack up for you, kind of, in all of your successful races from high school?
I thought this was just a great way to cap off the good indoor season I had. It kind of confirmed that I was, right with these guys that are really good. And, I thought I negative split that too, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
429
431 or 432, and then you came back in probably 428 or 429.
So I was really, I was really happy with that race.
Yeah.
I don't think I really ran well at a few of those New Balance meets, but this one was really good.
Yeah, I was really happy with it. This I think was your best national level race to this point, because you had been to NXN twice, indoor nationals I think maybe 2 or 3 times, and outdoor nationals once or twice. And I mean, you ran pretty well at your cross country nationals. But I remember you reflected on the race a little bit more in the week after and thought that you had maybe a little bit more to prove there, which I think you did in this race. Coming back and finishing the top 4 was definitely a great accomplishment.
Yeah, I was happy with that. And I was actually I know I probably didn't say it at the time, but I was happy with the NXN finish I had.
All
Senior,
right, good, good.
I think that was 25th.
Yeah, it's awesome. So before we wrap this up, I mean, you can either use this race as an example or just maybe your sort of career in general, but any sort of advice that, if people are watching this race or want to learn from your career a little bit, what you could offer them?
Um, hmm, good question. I would say I know everyone says this, but being consistent really does go a long way.
Yeah,
Even though I ran this 9:01 2 mile, I started at, I think, like 10:30, maybe 11 minutes. So,
right.
it takes time to get there, but you'll eventually get there, even if it seems out of reach. I
One of
did
the
not think I would be running that time senior year. I remember sophomore year when we were at practice once, I was like, we were talking about 2 mile times, whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'd be lucky to break 9 in college, but yeah, it's cool to just see the progression, and
yeah.
if you keep chipping away at it, you'll get it.
And one of the things that I think is really unique about you as an athlete, especially at a young age, like when I first started coaching you when you were a sophomore, you've always had a tremendous understanding of your own body and how you feel, and you've always been a good advocate for yourself and how you're feeling. So you always had a really good balance between like, you know, I never ever got the sense that you never wanted to do the work, but you were really clear when you're like, today's not quite the day, or we should change this. And I always had a lot of trust in you when it came to that because I knew you wanted to do the work and you loved to train and push yourself and wanted to be successful. But you also had a very good sense of your own health and your own fatigue level and things like that. And you took your recovery really seriously. So I knew that, if we had to make an adjustment, then it was something that you were, taking seriously. So
Yeah,
that's a cool skill to have at a young age. All right. Well, I really appreciate you breaking down that race with me. And, we had a lot of success over the last couple of years, and I'm excited to see you continue that over the next few. So thanks so much for taking the time.
awesome. Thank you.
You got it.